Communication Strategies, a Transactional Approach for Transformational Learning. What do we mean by a transactional approach? In its basic form, the transactional model of communication is one in which there is a sender of information and a receiver of information. The sender encodes the information in a manner that the receiver ought to be able to decode the information. The receiver may then respond by encoding a response message back to the sender. The transactional back and forth goes on because this is precisely how we communicate with each other. As online teachers, there are several opportunities at our disposal for effective transactional communication with our students in the online learning environment. First, the announcements section at the beginning of each online course is the first section visible to our online students. Often, it is our very first meeting with our online students as their teachers, and their first online encounter with us. As with any first meeting, we do want it to go over well. Is the verbal tone in our announcement pleasant, welcoming, and hopeful? It is much like walking into a very first class in an on-campus classroom, where you go into the classroom and the students are sizing you up to see if you are smiling, nice, and warm with a pleasant voice. We have to keep in mind that most of our transactional communications with our online students are in a written format, such as email messages, introductions to each other, directions for assignments, discussion and grading comments, etc. What we write to a student and how it is expressed will have a profound impact on how a student will continue to engage with us and in the course. Therefore, it is critical to be mindful of what we truly need to say to the student about the student's work and progress in the course. We want to be sure that all of our transactional communications in our courses are structured in a manner so as to promote student success. On the other hand, recognizing that we are only human and subject to our own emotional states, we really ought to take a step back, pause, and think for a moment to be sure that our messages do not take on a negative tone. Through no fault of the student, terse messages and capitalization in our communications can convey an underlying sense of anger and shouting. Remember that with transactional communication, everything counts, including a lack of response in either direction, to or from the sender and receivers. We must think before we respond. It has been stated that the online classroom doesn't provide the opportunity to read facial expressions, vocal tone, or body language on the part of our students, and because of that, we are missing a significant amount of transactional communication between us as teachers and our students, and transformative learning might be compromised. I believe that Palov and Pratt would argue against such a position because they consider transformative learning as the real learning that takes place as a result of participation in an online course, because it represents a self-reflective process that occurs on several levels. When our students engage in real self-reflective writing, they do give some degree of evidence to their current emotional states. A few years back, an online student wrote to me in an email saying, quote, "I just kept losing my grip, and one too many times. First physically, and as I was climbing back up, I got overwhelmed with trying to balance my course load, and mentally everything broke down. I couldn't focus on anything but daily basics. Being a parent and maintaining normalcy for my family, I am a bit of a psychological mess right now, to say the least." Period. Unquote. I instantly brought this email to the attention of the appropriate college authorities to reach out to the student and to do it immediately. They did, and she was safe and appreciative. Remember, in transactional communication, everything counts. This poster from Flickr.com, citing a quote heard at the 2014 Quest conference, hits home the message of transformational learning. For learners, self-reflection eventually leads to self-management and true choice. For without self-awareness, there is no choice. In addition, transformative learning advocates that the best practices for online learning include collaborative learning experiences. Just as an artist actively engages with the canvas, the brush, the paint, and the subject matter to create a lasting thing of beauty, so too adults in online courses engage with the concepts to be learned through active participation in collaborative discussions, written assignments, and self-reflection. What we can finally say about transactional communication leading to transformative learning is that it seeks to understand the underlying reasons why we view the world as we do, and then make a determination if it still makes sense to hold on to any viewpoint that may limit us in some fashion, and thereby make some positive changes. Self-reflection is necessary to make such changes in our lives as learners. Palloff and Pratt would assert that as learners, the essence and spirit of transformative learning cannot be attained without self-reflection. It is my contention that we too, as online educators, must be grounded in effective self-reflection to grasp the complexities of our own communication styles in order to attain the optimal goals of the online educational process, which, from my perspective, is to celebrate life and live life to the fullest. Thank you and have a sparkling day. References to follow.